And we're back. Welcome to this year's edition of FrankenOpenDiscussion.
Now
it's been quite a while since the last one.
Now in amazing Technicolor.
I know, look at us. Aren't we awesome? We're so pretty.
This is the face of music popularity in the future.
Yeah, we're being very original through this pandemic by having a podcast. Almost no one else has thought of it. Some little way. Finally got unleashed. Finally got sent out to the world. Finally grew up and left home.
Yeah, we're going to play the track first. So we can, is that our format? We play the track and then dissect it.
So you guys can introduce it.
Hi, this is Jeff.
Hey, I'm Gene.
And I am Ben. And we are
Frankenfido. Hooray!
Yeah.
And today we're here to talk about our latest single, Some Little Way. We're going to play it for you and then dissect the hell out of it so you'll lose any sense of enjoyment from it.
All right, so here is the new Frankenfido song, Some Little Way. It took the best years of our life to create it. It started pre-pandemic, and now in the midst of the pandemic, it's out there. And Some Little Way, here it is.
I really don't see when you say to me that you're alone. Here in this symphony, you really don't show when you come to call that you feel love, that you feel anything at all. The sun in the night, the moon in the day, everything's wrong in some little way. If the beats all kept in time, if the grapes became a wine, if the stream became a sea, if you flow right into me, I really don't know when you talk this way. Can you hear me? Can you hear anything I say? Running around, I really don't care for it. If you don't mind, maybe it's time to quit. The sun in the night, the moon in the day, everything's wrong in some little way. If the beats all kept in time, if the grapes became a wine, if the stream became a sea, if you flow right into me. I really don't see when you say to me that you're alone. Here in this symphony, the sun in the night, the moon in the day, everything's wrong in some little way. Now the beats all out of time, the grapes fall off the vine, like a ship upon the sea, you drift away from me. The sun in the night,
That was Some Little Way. That was Some Little Way, our new song.
Yeah.
Dean, I know this is probably the first time you've heard the song.
What was your reaction?
It's funny. So I often run these songs past the younger members of my family. This one got it doesn't suck as much as the other ones. Response, which was good. Yes, so I think we obviously hit the nail on the head for appealing to the youth demographic. So
Since out of all the songs we've done, my teenage opinionated children found this the least worst.
The least offensive.
Yes, the least sucky. But it's curious that they just don't like anything that's even remotely heavy. So it's quite bizarre. So they just don't like anything grungy. It's all lighter stuff.
It's not R&B. They're not into it.
yeah, it's interesting. I think like when we have the like initial rough mixes, like my sort of whole sense of that song was ironic given the lyrical content, but it has this like kind of very upbeat summer sort of feel to it. You know, beachy, going to the beach, listening along, sort of bops along. Yeah, I think it.
I'm going to isolate some bits and we'll see what happens. I got to find the bits first. Hang on.
I just love that Supertramp Dreamer keyboard.
Yeah, it's funny because
Go to their lawyers.
I'm pretty sure that was a placeholder, right, Ben? Because you originally did that on guitar and then you just thought, I'll just whack this in here and it sounds so good.
Well, I was thinking more Blinded by the Light.
Oh, yeah.
Wrapped Up Like a Douche. That song.
Okay.
Deuce.
Oh yeah, I can see
Like a
that.
deuce.
Blinded by the light, you know.
So,
Dreamer, nothing but a dreamer. That one.
We actually had a acoustic guitar intro, didn't we, Ben? You can bring that one up. Let the punters hear what they missed out on.
I think it reappears in the middle.
It does.
Somewhere.
It does show up in the middle. Oh, wow. There's the Men at Work intro. Be good, be good. I did
We'll leave that for
experiment.
the remix.
Well, I know I did experiment with that in trying to make it more 80s than it was, right? So I liked the idea, but the keys sounded better.
Yeah, I think the keys were good. I think maybe you added like a little bit of distortion or something on there to sort of beef it up a bit, which I think sounded good.
Hey, how about we talk about the origin of the song before we start dissecting it? History.
Didn't we record them on a phone on the ground? I seem to recall. It wasn't exactly a hi-fi experience originally.
I got sent two song samples, three actually. So you had three separate recordings.
It started out at a jam. Ben was cranking out some chords, and that opening DFC chord progression or whatever it is, it was doing on guitar, for a bit of delay and stuff. And but that sounds a bit like The Edge, sounds a bit U2, and we kept going over that. And I think that was the genesis of this song, where it was first born. I don't know whether you came up with that on the spot, Ben, or you'd been noodling with that previously, but came out fully formed.
I don't noodle pre-jam. No, I've made the discovery, as perhaps you have, Jeff, that as soon as you go off and do something on your own for a while and your brain gets wired into liking it, and if you present it to the band, they've got completely different ideas from you. So in terms of Frankenfido, I would in the past find there's a lot of wasted time working on stuff without getting everyone's input at the same time. So it's much faster for me just to come up with stuff in the jam, and then
I think that's
all right. So that was born spontaneously. Then that's good.
The jam process is a good way that we come up with our ideas, right? Because it's very efficient. It's instant feedback. So like everyone's just sort of changing it the way they want, responding in that moment.
What I was saying is that when I first heard it, I was actually trying to go for phrasing like you too as well. Just with the
phrasing.
Yes.
We did that bit in the last podcast, Ben.
No one heard it, so it doesn't matter.
Are we seriously not doing phrasing anymore? Anyway,
No, let's go to this chorus though, Jeff, because you've suggested that you said here are the 4 chords. These are the most common 4 chords ever. So yet we still had to slightly subvert them, and I do remember Dean at the time saying, that bass note makes me very uncomfortable."
was it a brown note?
No, I think he already had done the brown note before he heard the bass note.
Right.
But he was said, it is the wrong bass note. As you said, they're 4 common chords, so I couldn't let that sit. Lo and behold, then it fit with Ken's lyrical idea.
That's
It's
right now.
the sun in the night, the moon in the day, no bass on the root.
Everything's
That's how
wrong.
we play.
Yeah, let's just make the power chords. So this is the kind of grunge stuff, is it, Ken, that the kids don't like these days?
Yeah, it's weird. They don't like anything heavy. It's all sort of lighter lyrical fare, all rap, but nice rap. So
Suburban rap for suburban kids.
Nice. Here it is. That's fine. There's the first bass note that's off. That's fine again. It'll all come out in the mix. This bass note is very wrong.
So it's playing over the 5th. That's not by any sense a wrong note.
No, it's not the right note, but it's not the wrong note.
But I mean, the fifth is so close. 5th and 4th are so close. They're the perfect interval, right? So they always sound good.
But it's the lower 5th.
The lower 5th? What?
Well, normally when you're playing your bass lines, you play your root and then you go up to the 5th.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It doesn't matter. Like the point is that the wave, it's a waveform lines up, right? That's what
it is. It is a note in the chord.
Well, importantly, it's the perfect interval. That's why it sounds good.
And that's why you're classically trained.
Yep. I can talk about that all day.
Anyway, that's why the kids tune in for compositional theory.
I would then take the credit for that, inspiring Ken to talk about those disparities. It's the sun in the night.
So, I was just trying to say that, a man saying to a woman, "Why do you feel so alone?" I'm here. And then he talks of things where they could potentially become closer. And so there's things which become, one thing becomes another. And so that was the basic idea. And saying, yet, we're not quite there. It seems flawed or broken in some way.
So, ooh, baby, we're halfway there.
Yes.
We're living
better. but better.
Well, I described it in the interview as a tale of betrayal and bewilderment. So I probably wasn't even close.
It's not really betrayal. It sort of seems to be that they're drifting apart, right? It's a whole sense of
betrayal.
So he wants it to be the relationship to become closer, and yet she's just adrift, and so they seem to be drifting apart.
It is an allegory about winemaking, though, isn't it?
From your personal experience at Robinson Family Vineyard.
But technically, you have to have little animals in it to be an allegory. I can't remember how that works.
Allegory or metaphor?
Allegory. I think allegory is a tale involving animals of some sort.
Well, no, it is. It is a completely.
Frankenstein was described by Mary Shelley as an allegory, so
okay.
I suppose you can call Frankenstein's monster an animal.
Here are some words that rhyme with allegory.
Corey.
Story.
Allegory.
Brontosaurus.
Yeah, I was actually trying to say, what would Bono write? you know.
And then do the opposite. I like your approach, Ken.
I think I was saying earlier that this is the first time we actually let you come up with melody and lyrics yourself. So you didn't have to move your voice in a range that was comfortable. You could just sing the stuff that came to mind for you. So did that make life easier, you think, particularly in recording?
It did, and yet Ben decided to actually move it a couple of keys at the recording anyway.
No, well, to be fair, Ken, I did ask you which key do you want the song in, and we did lower the key. And then I
changed your mind.
Well, I decided that you weren't pushing yourself into your best register.
Yeah, and so I saw a dissection of that U2 song, "Only to Be With You," but basically the music producer there pushed Bono up into a certain key which he wasn't comfortable with, and from that came one of his best lyrical tracks.
Do you mean Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For? Is that the song?
Yes. Yeah.
This is a standard thing, right? Like generally singers usually need to push their range a little bit. Sometimes it takes it a lot longer to record, but usually if you can get there, you get a good result.
And also, to be fair to you, Ken, we didn't give you a whole lot of time to record this either.
Yes.
It was come and go, Ken. It was two takes Robinson.
It would be good to try different things too, if I had some more time with it.
I'm gonna play you Ken's isolated vocal because it's so good.
Yeah, I kind of hated my vocal in this course.
The moon and the day.
Oh,
Everything's wrong in some little way. If the beats all kept in time, if the grapes became the wine, if the stream became the sea, if you flowed right into me.
2 takes.
Double.
Used them both. Double tracked.
Yeah.
Well, what do you need?
You didn't even like artificially double it. That's awesome.
No. But then I of course got the chance to dance around Ken's vocal with the harmonies.
The sun in the night, the moon in the day, everything's wrong
Without overpowering Ken's.
in some little way. If the beats all kept in time, if the grapes became the wine, if the stream became the sea, if you flow right into me.
But it does get even better, Ken, in the final chorus where you scream your tits off.
In some little way, now the beats all out of time. The grapes fall off the vine like a ship upon the sea.
And that was a complete spontaneous jump, I think, for you to Ken, just to go up to that note. But then that let me shift all the harmonies up with it.
okay.
So that had that cascading effect of helping lift the entire track, in my opinion.
Well, it's interesting that lyrically you talk about things that shouldn't, things that are out of kilter. You say the moon in the day. I saw the moon rise. I saw the moon this morning on my drive. The moon's out in the day.
Yes, but not all the time.
Not all the time. And is the sun in the night? No.
And when you see the moon in the day, you don't. Hey, look, it's the moon in the day. You still.
That's not normal, is it? No.
It's not. That's not what I expect to see in popular culture. That's not what Ken's
2 moons
lyrics.
in the sky would be unusual. 1 moon is not unusual. There are certain phases of the lunar cycle. Anyway,
So Ben, what I liked in the
lyrical
second
anachronisms
verse-
aside, are we to believe that this rib is a magical rib? Anyway, that's a Simpsons reference.
But with the second verse, I really liked how it started to build from the first.
As in musically.
Yeah. If we could explore that, because I really felt that it kind of took off.
I really don't see.
Yes, the first verse is quite sparse.
That you're alone.
The instruments do come in, but not all of them. It's just we'll start it up.
You really don't show when you come
But then, as you say, we get to second verse, and we are.
I really don't know when you talk.
Well, we're continuing to build.
And then it builds up again.
Can you hear anything I say? Running
Right there.
around. I really
That's where the guitar comes in. Is there some acoustic guitar in the background there?
if you don't mind. Maybe.
In fact, I wanted to open the track with this or throw it after the middle, and I think, Jeff, you rejected it for the same reason that I liked it. You said it's too much like The Who. So
It's good. It's
I
just not
snuck
as
it
good
in.
as the keyboard open. I think, interestingly, I remember when working on the first verse, you just added a little bit of a pad in the background, because I kind of like the fact that you have this open, then it comes in it does actually come in quite big, the initial opening verse. And we just wanted to go that little notch higher. And so there's this little extra pad that he added. It just sort of brings up, some bit more low end, and it's.
I did
How
want
does the
to.
song start again? Is it a vocal opening like Watcher, or is it
It's
keyboard
both.
first?
It's keyboard and vocals.
Yeah.
No, it's,
Back to your
Right.
pad
We
ideas.
do like this cold open with the vocals, don't we? Straight away into it.
we haven't got time. Ain't nobody got time for no
No
vocals.
mucking about. Let's just start singing now.
And
No,
fade
this-
out to guitar solo.
This pad
another
was
thing.
I was trying to push it into Icehouse. I was trying to get the pad sound from Great Southern Land.
Play it again in isolation.
Don't know if you can hear that, but the punters will.
Not really, no.
It's just a little analog pad, but sounds a bit like horns, French horns or something.
Because that's what the kids dig. French horn.
Oh man, if I was a kid again, I would play French horn totally.
I'm horny for horny.
Hey, man,
Well-
French horn.
French and horny. It works on so many levels.
So it's not the saxophone players that the girls go after. It's the French horn players.
It's a well-kept secret in the music biz. All right, here's my favorite bit, the middle section when I get to play.
I really don't see.
And that in itself continues the theme of the wrong bass note for the wrong chord. It's the only way, really, there's only 3 chords there, I think, or is it 4? But it continues to ascend and sound reasonably interesting.
I was actually.
Just like Lost Words and just like Turn Out the Light. Has a middle section where the bass keeps ascending despite whatever chords are playing underneath.
I was very proud of that one.
I
We've
thought
got
it
a
was
shtick.
I thought it was very restrained of you not to lump in some more instruments in that bit. It's good. It just sits there and it does its stuff, and then it's a little bit of a rest, a breather. Take a breather.
Let's get to the video soon, but at this point, I still cannot listen to that without picturing everyone floating around in the video at this point.
What about that
like
bit where it
this.
just stops?
Oh yeah.
Oh, big arguments there.
Time to quit.
Play that. Play that. The bit where it stops.
Yeah, I was still not convinced about that.
Oh, it's the best bit of the song. What are you talking about?
No, let's
the best
play it.
bit of
Let's hear it.
The best bit of the song is the bridge where you've got the Daft
Time
Punk.
to quit. The sun in the night.
You scared
Now, I
the
wanted a
silence.
tin whistle in there. We recorded a tin whistle. Where is it? Ben, have you got that
That's
recording?
so stupid.
Actually, seriously, I did want a drum fill to come in to bring that, but I could vote it out.
If you don't mind, maybe it's time to quit. The sun in the night.
Okay, not a tin whistle, a good sound effect.
Why?
It's the
It's the thing that sells the song, man. That's the sizzle. It's not the steak, it's the sizzle. But yeah, I wanted, instead of that, yeah, instead of that, I wanted a big, maybe it's time to quit. Bang,
Probably still got
back
that as well.
drum solo. I thought that would have been great, but, I think we put it in and Dean took it out.
The sun and the night.
No, it wasn't that one.
I should probably undo the whistle at this point.
I think we could talk more about the chorus because there's some interesting stuff there. I like the string section that you added. So
the Craven-esque string section. Play that in isolation.
Let's see what we can do here.
And wasn't like that? It's like an arpeggio.
Yeah. Well, let me break it down as I go down. We've got the grungy guitar that nobody likes.
Oh, I love it.
I like it.
We got that one. Then we've got acoustic. There we go. Oh yeah. I don't know what that rhythm's from. Oh, here we go.
Got to get a bit of comfortably numb into every song.
Yeah.
I think, for the remix, we'll just have an intro with just strings building up and up.
That is
like a right there.
String quartet intro.
That is essentially buried. You don't really hear. That's textural.
It is very Craven, though, that cinematic string sound.
These are all extended chords. That's a suspended, there's added twos.
So it's not the standard 4-chord progression that every song is?
No, I had to make every chord slightly different.
Yeah.
Even though the progression is the same, but yeah, there's just they used to do this all the time in the 80s, right? You listen to those 80s pop songs and all the chords were extended, but they snuck it past you. You didn't really, but you just knew there was a sound about it. What was going on? Well, that's what it is.
It's amazing when you listen to the radio and you think, which songs use these same 4 chords or, transpositions of those 4 chords? There's so many of them. It's like, okay, well, we know what sells. We use these 4 chords and we'll think of a unique melody over the top. So.
Well, if you only use the major and minor chords from the scale, then it's very little choice, right? So you end up like choosing a couple of variations. And so you have to put extensions or you have to modulate or you have to, mix it up a bit.
Driving in the car, I had the radio on. This Taylor Swift song came on. And I love Tay-Tay, but one of her songs, I forget which one it was, like Mr. Perfectly Fine or something. You know that one? Mm-hmm. Mr. Yep. Perfectly Fine. It's got those chords in it. And then it goes for the big modulation, up another 2 steps. And I thought, oh, God, I hate that. So I'm glad that, we used that same chord progression, but we didn't fall into the temptation of modulating.
There's clever modulating, but then there's like the semitone modulate or whatever, just because you're out of ideas and you want to elevate. Everyone's going to,
But I mean, you don't have to stay in that key. Like it doesn't have to be a big shift like that. If you play jazz, they're shifting key like every couple of chords often. Like it's.
Oh yeah, we're jazz guys. We can do anything.
Yeah, so you can, even if you just do that old trick of playing the major and then playing the minor, you're technically shifting a key, right? Like,
Jeff does that a lot.
He does do that a lot, and it sounds great. But it just sounds good. But I think that's like the secret these days to making music interesting is like to understand where you can get away with those tricks and. Have those things available to you, like those sort of small shifts.
We're Frankenfido. We're not bound by convention of melody or harmony or goodness in music.
So look,
speaking of modulation, Lost Words, in my mind, has an absolutely terrific modulation in the middle when it goes into...
when you go to the guitar solo.
Again, it's the same...
We covered that in the podcast.
It's the same chord progression, but it's a killer modulation. And to actually tell you a secret, sometimes I work backwards. So I'll figure out what the killer modulation is at the end of the piece to go to go back to your original verse or whatever. That's the best dramatic one. You got to work backwards and hope that the modulation works then at the beginning. So that's
you can usually arrive at anything, in any key that you like, by a series of steps. Speaking of the best part of the song and drums, there's sort of two parts of the drums that I think that are interesting. So the chorus has I think it was a little bit controversial at the time, which is the drums are very dramatic into the start of the chorus and with a lot of space in them. And I figured that would all get filled in, which I think is ultimately what happened. So I really liked how that turned out. And then I think when I sort of tracked the stuff that I did, I just played around with a few different variations, a couple of fills at the end, and Ben chopped that up into this whole half-time section. There's this syncopated hats and stuff like that. I really liked how that turned out. There's a triplet fill in the outro of the guitar solo. It sounds really good. Like the back half of the drums were really great.
Yeah,
I think you did a good job.
I took your bits and that's you. Yeah, you had a wealth of ideas, a plethora, a smorgasbord. An embarrassment of riches, moving between disco and not disco and disco again. So, but that does bring me though to the end.
Syncopated hats. Love that.
Now that chord progression sounds a bit familiar, Ben.
Well, that's the middle section again, yes.
Yeah, it's the middle section.
Yes, yes, it is. For the thing.
Yes, it is it does remind me of something. Yes, it does. Yes. It's a warm sound, or a worm sound.
Triplet fill.
So in Lost Words, you were channeling Slash at the end there. So which guitarist are you channeling at the end here? Or just Ben Craven himself? Is this the Craven sound, or can you pick the influences there?
Oh, no, honestly, I never channel Steve Howe, and I was probably trying to channel Steve Howe.
I seem to remember that you'd had quite a few rums when you recorded that solo.
They're only the bits that stuck. But unusually, they're actually there's only 4 segments in that solo. Normally I'd chop up bits and put this note here and that, but there is consistent expression. So
perhaps there was
from beginning to end.
Well,
perhaps there was chemical influence that helped me be in the moment, not question every note. Here's the phasing. We've got all this stuff. So all this is going on in the background as well, which I quite like.
Drums are really phased in the middle section too. Is it more so than in the end section?
That's time stretched and all sorts of stuff. Talking about the drums in the section.
Anyway, let's not talk about that. Hey, let's talk the film clip.
Here's an interesting take that my father had on that. He goes, "Oh yeah, well I watched that film clip," and he goes, "Oh, Frankenfido, that's based on the Goodies. Is that what you were going for? Like those section in the Goodies with all this sort of slapstick?" And I was going, "No, but like we should have totally done that. Like sped the whole thing up. Like why didn't we do that? We should have slowed down the recording and then recorded everything faster."
Well,
maybe we'll do that for the next one. Exactly.
And do it in the park with like dogs and cats running around on leashes and
cuts to
Benny Hill style. Stand behind a statue with a hose.
We recorded a whole bunch of other like us playing our instruments, and I bothered to like learn the keyboard part of that in order to play that. So I was disappointed that didn't make the final cut, but in the end,
we can still do that. But if we
it looks like you're not really playing the keyboard at all. It's like you're just standing there moving your fingers back and forth.
If we hadn't played the song for 2 or 3 hours over and over again, we couldn't have done that final clip. Ken wouldn't know the words. I wouldn't know the chords. Dean wouldn't know the keys.
I think I did flub it in that like 5-second recording that I did.
So for the benefit of our listeners, we decided to record a video, and we're all up in Ben's studio. So we'd all set up the instruments and everything. We're playing along and trying to film from various angles in this room. And, we had a few laughs doing it. But in the end, I thought, it's not really going to work. So I said, why don't we just set up the camera outside, pointing at Ben's garage door, and we'll just film a few takes of us doing some comical moves and playing along, and then just edit it. And I thought we would edit in bits of the studio stuff, so it would fade in and fade out. Be some transitions from outside to inside. Playing as a group, then playing individually upstairs. But it kind of worked out better the way where we just took cuts from each of us playing as a group or playing individually and put all that in. Although, I wasn't impressed because at the time of day, there was a big slanting shaft of sunlight coming through and just blew everything out.
Yes.
And I said, now the sun's gone down a bit. Let's do it again. But there
was a sun in the day, you see.
The sun in your face.
There was so much gold there. There was no way we could not just have the clip made up of garage door.
Well, yeah, I deliberately struck some rock god poses in that. In that thing. You might have seen right at the very end where I put the hand up.
I managed to cut out most of them, but there were still a few that came through, unfortunately.
You guys said to me, do some stupid dance moves, which I instantly regretted, and that's the only stuff that got left in of mine.
That's the best bit.
Oh, no, there's a bit of Dean going off, going, come on, guys, come on back. So Dean doing stupid dance moves and Dean getting cranky. That's what I got in.
Oh, and my daughter's reaction to that video was, "Oh, Dad."
Oh, your little bum dance.
Yes, my little bum dance to the camera.
Ken's butt wriggle.
In all fairness, the day was finishing up. The battery was running out on that camera. That's another reason that those takes are so manic, is because seriously, that battery was just about gone. So, hey, we did do our "We Can't Dance" bit at the end of the clip as well. Don't forget that.
We did.
Quick! Let's all do the Genesis walk. Okay.
We should have done another take, I reckon. But yeah, she said
it was perfect. It was perfect.
Well, there were bits where I'm running in front of the camera, and it's like, oh, that's not very professional. That's pretty lame.
What better way? What
better way to put the icing on the cake of a song that took months and months and months to record and produce, and every note was carefully argued? To have a film clip done in real time is what people actually see.
Hang on, if we finish talking about this song, what do you think about this song? Do you think it's a good song? Did it work? Did it come out the way we wanted it to?
So I think this is really good because I just really love how it came together, and like how you've got a lot of the influences woven in really well together. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of this song.
In terms of any of our songs having the potential to take off and get heard, I think this is the one.
I think the audience for pop music created by middle-aged men is not large. You're underestimating the power of like the personality of the band in promoting pop music, right? Like look at K-pop. All of that stuff is just totally, it's not the sound, it's all about personality. And
it's an organization, isn't it?
But we got Ken. What more personality do you need?
It's a carefully orchestrated business, K-pop, where the performers are interchangeable.
I think we would probably do better playing more serious music, to be honest. I think like this, in terms of getting heard.
Yeah, and the time this took to produce and record and put together, we will not get that time back.
No. But like, did we do something great that, I felt proud about? Yeah, I think it turned out really well. It's the kids who are wrong.
Yeah.
Yep.
Am I so out of touch? Are we so out of touch?
Let me cap this off with the review I wrote of our song.
A gothic tale of...
Yeah.
Betrayal and bewilderment. That's what I should have written. I thought we would have worked some sort of Supertramp thing up because I had a picture of a tramp on the cover.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
And we had Supertramp keyboards. I thought we would have made a sly reference to both. But yeah.
Some Little Way, the latest single from Brisbane four-piece Frankenfido, can be summed up in a single word. Disparity, deception, paradox, a complete and utter contradiction. What may appear superficially as a lament on a failed relationship is transformed into a study into incongruence. The 1970s pop sensibility of Supertramp and the 1980s progressive stylings of Men at Work, both wrong, you see, no pop stylings, no progress, enter into an uneasy partnership with postmodern rock production which now more than ever seeks to evoke and recall the triumphs of old. Instrumentation collides and settles in uneasy inversions. The music frequently attempts to escape the orbit of its subject matter, yet remains tethered to the reality of the protagonist's limbo. The final ambitious ascension is ultimately full of pomp and grandeur, but climax is denied by the inevitable clutches of the final fade-out. Frankenfido convincingly proves yet again that nothing is ever what it seems or what it doesn't.
Have you been writing Roger Waters' liner notes?
Now that possibly was written under the same influence that guitar solo was recorded under.
I like how you said it can be summed up in one word, and then it wasn't.
It's a bit Sean McAuliffe, isn't it?
Oh yes, jeez, I love those. World of what was his character? David McGann. Look it up.
Oh.
What I happen to have right next to a Sean McAuliffe book.
Right.
It doesn't really translate to print though, because it doesn't just go past you. Then you think, "Hey, wait a minute, what did he just say?" When you're reading it, it's like, "Oh, that's an obvious contradiction."
Right. Yeah, he's a clever man.
Do we have any Franken snippet we can play at the end of the podcast, like we used to do? Like just a bit of music from a jam, we just tack on at the end.
I like the smell of the ice. Remember that?
let me find 30 seconds from the original jams of Some Little Way that are acceptable enough to listen to.
I don't think that's going to work, isn't it? Because they're really shittily recorded. There's no multi-track,
it's
nothing.
the atmosphere, man.
Okay, fair enough.
Lads, as always, I'd like to say it's been a pleasure.
But it hasn't. All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Lunch
See you all.
Bye-bye.
Doodles.
Have to have another section as well, apart from that. And then if we've got 3 sections, we're good.